everyone, I'm Jess and I'm the content manager here at Course Report. Course Report is the resource for helping people find the right coding and digital skills boot camps for them. You can use the Course Report website to research the best technical skills boot camps all over the world, as well as insights on which languages to learn, where to apply, and how to break down all of that boot camp jargon and so much more. Today, I'm speaking with a bootcamp alum from Springboard. So one of the trademarks of an immersive bootcamp experience is that the students in it build a final project or a capstone project. And Josh, who is here with us today, is going to walk us through the project that he built. But first, let me introduce them. So Josh Abenahar is a graduate of Springboard's UI UX design program and now works as a senior consultant in user experience design at Booz Allen Hamilton. So Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. You graduated from Springboard last year. So before we dive into walking through your project, I'd love to hear first about your UX bootcamp experience. So let's start with what inspired you to launch a career in UX design recently.
I wouldn't call it recent. Back in college, I actually really wanted to get into human-centered design engineering, which is, a facet to UX and UI design. But at the time, I was applying for a scholarship with the Navy, and they didn't accept human-centered design engineering as a applicable major, so you can say. So they gave me a choice. They said you can either apply to that and lose your spot for the scholarship, or do physics. So I did physics, fortunately but unfortunately. So it was always an interest for me to do something UI UX, human-centered design, and it was the perfect time after I got out of the Navy to restart that interest. And I ran across Springboard, and that's the beginning of my UI UX story.
Yeah, I was wondering too how you found Springboard, just because there's so many UX design boot camps out there. So like what set their program apart?
So I found Springboard through Google. Like I literally looked up UI UX bootcamp, UI UX master's programs, and master's programs, always they're fascinating, but at the time, money was a thing. So annexed that one, and I went through boot camps, and I found General Assembly. I found Nielsen Norman, and I found Springboard, and I found all of them. And what stood out to me about Springboard was that it felt more personal. A lot of the boot camps, they gave you mentors, but it was very online based, very one-on-one through email and comments on your projects. Vice Springboard, you were able to do a one-on-one face-to-face on Zoom, just to get that feel of you actually have somebody there that's going through it with you. And that's really stood out to me. And you got one more project out of it compared to the other boot camps that gave you 2 or 3 projects. Springboard gave you 4 if you wanted it.
And were you able to use any of your veterans benefits towards your Springboard tuition?
I probably could have, um, but I literally started Springboard immediately after I got out of the Navy. So I think what was more important to me was starting the program versus trying to fund it through the benefits that I didn't really have knowledge of at the time.
Hmm.
Probably going back, I probably could have waited maybe 2, 3 months and finagled something with the Navy or my veterans benefits, but um, here we are.
Yeah, no regrets. And overall, what did you learn in the UX design career track boot camp? Like what kinds of, either programming languages, I'm not sure if you learned how to code in it, or what kinds of skills or tools?
I think the biggest skills that I learned were wireframing. Wireframing is probably the most important part in um for me at least, the most important part in the process of going from nothing to something. It's kind of where you're able to show the developers, hey, this is kind of the layout I want. This is how much space I think we need. And it's a good place for taking away all the colors and prettiness of an application or software. Gives an understanding between us and developers where we want it to be before we make that happen. Um, so that was really important. I'm not saying it's the rest isn't important, but I feel like wireframing as fast as they go in Springboard and any boot camp um, is a really important aspect of UI and UX design.
So Josh, what problem does your project Tiny Tales solve?
So when I was given this prompt, I think the original uh, problem was how can we efficiently and quickly choose a book for story time for kids. And I didn't really like that problem or that that's the solution to that problem because I feel like they're for kids. So I don't think quick and efficient is even in their vocabulary or in their person. So I kind of reinvented the solution that most people would think, and I thought, well, how can we maximize or have fun with the time that you have spending with your kid to choose a book, which kind of brought me to how I create Tiny Tales. Um, Tiny Tales is supposed to be like this fun, card-based. Here, children, you can choose a book. This is you. These are your choices, and it'll come up with a selection of books essentially. Um, Due to the time that I had with this project, it's not exactly how I want it to be. Just kind of um, it works the way it needs to work.
Mhm.
But the solution to it is how do I have fun with my kids choosing a book?
Yeah, I'd love if you could walk us through sort of the main features of it.
Yeah. So as I said before, it's supposed to be very fun. So the shapes here are shaped like playing cards, and the idea is that like you're given a deck of cards to your kids, and they can choose, themselves. Obviously, who did I pick? James. And then here it's like, oh, how long do you have for story time? And so this is kind of like, not just all kids, this is also parents now. Like, how much time do I actually have? Just to add that, time aspect into the solution, we'll say I had 5-10 minutes. See, all of it is very card based, all of it's very nice and flowy, big pictures so the kids can see, big words so that they're not squinting or getting too close to the screen, because this is a tablet based application, make believe. I tried to use words that kids know. So fantasy might not be something that kids are familiar with yet, or might learn something like educational. So I try to use smaller words so that the kids are able to understand what they're choosing. And then here you just have like a selection of, fun pictures and different things. And we'll click I'm done. We'll click humor, scary, or history, and we'll say I'm done. And here, this is my first iteration, I guess, of how I imagined it to be, kind of like almost like a Netflix on TV type feel, um, where the kids can choose essentially based on their selection and how they felt at that night. Um, you can see you can scroll through just like any other type of uh, media media application, except it's for books.
That's so cool.
Here, just information just for the parents. Then as you go in, you swipe left as if you were actually turning a page via tapping, and then you would go through the book. Here, this is right here, this is where you and the kid can choose for the next night. So to continually grow that interest in books and to continually grow, the time spent with your kid choosing the book, this is a solution to, okay, if you like that book, you might like this book tomorrow. You can just scroll through and choose your book.
So how long were you given to build this project?
A week.
Oh,
1 week.
wow.
Yes.
And which technologies did you end up using to build this?
I used Figma to build this project.
Hmm.
That's pretty much it. I only used Figma. I think I used a couple of like websites like Unsplash and I used a couple websites to do some animations.
Mhm.
I didn't know how to do that at the time, but um, yeah, no code base, but mostly designing on Figma and a couple of generative websites.
Yeah, I was wondering if you ended up using everything you learned at Springboard in this project, or if you were having to kind of extend yourself and learn some new things on the fly to add to it.
Yeah, I didn't actually use so because of the time span that you were given, I actually didn't use everything that I learned in Springboard. If I remember this correctly, um, I don't even think I did a wireframe like I'd like to. Um, so so these are all my iterations of my design, and I went straight to what they call high fidelity designs, which is all the colors, all the shapes, everything. So I skipped steps 1, 2, and 3 essentially to get to this point to finish in 1 week, which isn't standard, but given, you know, the time frame and I'll say my inexperience at the time, that's kind of what I needed to do in order to get where
Yeah.
I did. So I definitely did things on the fly. Um, but yeah, no, this is kind of where I needed to be and how I got to where I got to go.
And if you were struggling at all building this project or any of your other projects at Springboard, were you able to like reach out to any of their like instructional staff or their mentors to get
Yeah,
some help? Yeah.
yeah, there was a couple of times where I needed to get one-on-one help with a mentor that wasn't on my weekly schedule with my mentor. So Springboard does a really good job with having a mentor or a couple mentors available to you, not 24/7, obviously, but that's there to help you when you need the help. Um, so there was a couple times where I needed that second set of eyes essentially to help me get through this project.
How did Springboard prepare you for the tech job hunt?
Um, for the tech job hunt, I would say the best thing that Springboard did for me was they in between the courses of technical and physical skills that you need, they also offer um the career track modules that help you build up to that point. So there were like I think 6 or 7 career module tracks where they just kind of walk you through like here's how you build your resume for a design interview. This is how you build your LinkedIn. This is how you get ready for your interview. These are the steps for an interview. They even give you options to practice interviews with the mentors and the career track coaches. Um, so that was a huge benefit of just being able to have that time to really hone in, my previous background into a design, um, I guess design look
Mhm.
almost.
Yeah, and when you were on the job hunt, did you find that employers were interested in either your Springboard bootcamp experience or your project portfolio?
They were more interested in my project portfolio.
Mm.
Um, yeah, no, they, when I applied, it was definitely hard because, um, I am not somebody who has design background. I was very technical in my managerial skills because of the Navy. So I had to like had to figure a way out to, speak to these design recruiters. And my portfolio was definitely the reason why that happened.
Mm. And how did you land your current job at Booz Allen?
My portfolio.
Oh.
My portfolio, definitely. Um, I think I had a little bit of an upper hand here because Booz Allen is a government contracting uh, company. So my Navy background definitely played a pull in that. But I was able to speak to my portfolio because I loved what I did during Springboard. And I think my projects in my portfolio definitely took me through. Even though I wasn't the most smooth person on that interview. I think they were able to see that there was a passion there. There was a need for me to change careers into UI design versus Navy, and yeah, and I think my portfolio gave them this feeling of this guy can do the job. even though he didn't have any
Yeah.
experience in
Yeah.
design.
And what sorts of projects are you working on now on the job?
Yeah, so I can't talk about one of them because it's a little bit secret, but the other one, um, I'm working on a software that helps new veterans get in touch with a Veterans Affairs medical center as soon as they need it. So if they feel like they need one immediately, even before they transition out of the Navy, this software will help them get in touch with the right people. That way there is no stopping point between them transitioning or while in the Navy and transitioning out. Or it's also a a resource for veterans who've been out for years,
Mm.
um, who still don't know where their medical center is or who to contact. And this software will help alleviate that gap between veterans and information.
That's awesome. You've been so successful in just really 1 year after graduating from Springboard. So I was wondering if you have any advice for future UX design students who are just starting at Springboard.
Um, yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the certifications you get in any any boot camp, I'll say Springboard specifically, isn't enough.
Mm.
Springboard gave me the foundation to talk about what I love and to showcase what I've learned in a very foundational way. Um, but going through the interviews and going through a lot of just talking to a lot of people, um, boot camp certifications are credible in the sense that you've learned the foundation, but not credible in the sense that it's a certification. Um, so I think uh, there's this facade that once you get the certification, it's like, oh wow, it's equivalent to getting a PMP, which is not. Um, so once you get your certification, you have to continue to build on that,
Mm.
be able to continue to learn what you learn from Springboard and apply that to, I don't know, your LinkedIn or maybe these future pro bono jobs that you want to do in order to enhance your portfolio. Um, and just being able to talk about what you love. Um, just because the certifications give you this cookie cutter way of talking through all the interviews and creating your portfolio that everyone has. And I think if you set yourself apart and really figure out what part of the curriculum that you love and speak to that, it'll definitely make new interviewees shine
Mm.
because they show a part of passion towards the the job and their project and the company. Um, so yeah, certification is great, but it's not enough. Um, what is enough is what you can provide given what you know and what you love.
And at this point in your UX career, was Springboard worth it for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'd be worth it to anybody who doesn't have a single skill or knowledge of of UI, UX, data analytics, anything. If you haven't had a a lick of information on this in a year or so, and you feel like you need the structure of a course, you need a structure of like a teacher or just like a syllabus, um, Springboard is great. Um, 4 projects, one-on-one mentor, like career mentors, whenever you really want them, as long as you're passionate about completing the course and really wanting to learn and enhance your skills, Springboard is a great investment, honestly.
Well, that's a great place to wrap up this project spotlight. It was so awesome to see what you were able to build in just 1 week at Springboard, Josh. And thank you so much for talking with us and sharing your project, and best of luck in your tech career. We will be posting a recording and a transcript of this video interview on the Course Report blog with contact information for Springboard, just in case you're interested in applying for any of their upcoming design cohorts. And thanks so much to all of you for watching. You can tweet at us, email us, and let us know which topic you'd like us to cover next on the Course Report blog. And in the meantime, follow Course Report on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're a bootcamp alum, don't forget to post a review of your own bootcamp experience on Course Report. Your review is a huge help to anyone thinking of getting into tech today.